In the fall of 1969, researchers at UCLA sent a single message from one computer to another, signaling the beginning of the Internet and igniting a technological revolution. In the coming years, as computing power exploded and the price of computers fell, hundreds of millions of people connected to the Internet. Now, billions of computers, code-driven devices, and people have linked together in the most complex man-made environment on Earth, a digital universe known as cyberspace. It expands every moment. Electronic impulses carrying data move at lightning speed. It takes more time for a fastball to cross home plate than it does for information to travel online from Washington, D.C. to Beijing and back. Blink, and you miss it. Dr. David Clark at MIT has been working to develop the architecture of the Internet since the 1970s.
So I tell people the 70s was this basic period, just working out the details. In the 80s, it started to scale. And people say to me, did you imagine hooking every computer in the world together? And I said, oh yes. We thought there might be 10,000 of them.
The Internet alone has grown from thousands of people in the 1980s to more than 2 billion now. There were almost 800 million smartphone users around the world by the end of 2011. Millions of other devices are connected to cyberspace as well, including industrial control systems, satellites, jet fighters, new cars. One researcher at Cisco estimates there are more than 12 billion devices connected online, a number that will soar to 50 billion in the next decade. The security of cyberspace is exceedingly difficult to ensure. Spying, intrusions, and attacks on government and corporate networks occur every hour of every day. And because so much of the world's activity now occurs in cyberspace, including commerce, banking, communications, and intelligence, the Pentagon has declared cyberspace a new domain of war.
Electricity, telecommunications, transportation are exactly the same kind of infrastructures that militaries for the past 75 years have been taking apart with bombs. Why would someone not take them apart with digits?
Cyberspace is driven at the most fundamental level by computer code. Those binary digits, or bits, guide the electrical impulses that tell the world's computers what to do. Throughout software programs, there are unidentified vulnerabilities known as 0 days, flaws in software that could enable intruders to infiltrate computer systems, take control, and steal information.
So there's always going to be flaws in software, and it's sort of a race to see, can the good guys or the vendors find these flaws first, or can the bad guys? And if the bad guy finds it first, there's not a whole lot we can do. So you can try to defend against everything, but it's really tough.
In the rush to take advantage of networks, an uncounted number of power generators, oil rigs, security systems, and other parts of the world's critical infrastructure have been connected to the Internet.
So there's lots of computers that we definitely don't want to have attacked, and right now there's no sort of unified effort to make sure that there's not flaws and make sure that these systems are protected. And so you know, there haven't been a lot of attacks against these systems, but I think they're coming.
I think if you'd asked us back then, we would have said that it's actually quite silly for people to take units of the network that are running either critical military missions or critical infrastructure like power supply, you know, power grid, and hook it to a public network. We just don't do that.
Since the 1990s, personal, academic, military, and government systems worldwide have been hacked constantly, and the rate of attacks is accelerating.
The bad guys have a lot more flexibility than we do. They don't have rules, they don't have laws, or laws that haven't kept up like they should. They have far more time. They use the same tools that we do in many cases. And they only have to get lucky one time. We have to be good all the time.
In March 2012, General Keith Alexander, head of Cyber Command, blamed China for the theft of astounding amounts of intellectual property.
Last spring, in his international strategy for cyberspace, the President confirmed inherent right to protect ourselves against attacks in this domain as in traditional domains. He said, when warranted, the United States will respond to hostile acts in cyberspace as we would to any other threat to our country.
Alexander hinted at military reprisals. Some sort of cyber war is generally considered an inevitability.
I honestly think that cyber war, although it's a scary term, I think it is as scary as it sounds.
We would be very naive if we thought that governments don't realize that this software is very vulnerable and easily exploited. I think we'd be naive to think that foreign governments don't have a mapping of where this stuff is located at on the internet or even inside someone's internal network. And maybe at the right moment they'll exercise some of that stuff. I think we have to accept that. Just like we accept that in other places in cybersecurity. The thing that kind of concerns me is right now the bar is so low that it doesn't take a government, it doesn't take organized crime to exploit this stuff, And so that's what's dangerous.